Hi guys, this is gsmon.com, and after doing a huge review of the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, it's time to analyze the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. This one is a phablet with a stylus, as you probably know, and it was launched at the same time with the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. It was announced on August 13th and it comes priced at $764 on Amazon.com. It didn't get a widespread launch, only some of the countries in the world have it, and we're testing it right here at gsmon.com. Once again, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, a 5.7-inch phablet that has the same diagonal as the Galaxy Note 4 before it, 5.7 inches, and this time it measures 7.6 millimeters in thickness. It's thinner than the Galaxy Note 4 that measured 8.5 millimeters, and also thicker than the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus that measures 6.9 millimeters. This device weighs 171 grams, while the Galaxy Note 4 weighed 176 grams. And meanwhile, the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus weighs 153 grams, so it's lighter than this model. It has glass at the back, glass at the front, so the approach has changed from the Galaxy Note 4, and we have a metal frame here, pretty solid one actually. It looks a bit like a piano if you really want a comparison. That means it's an elegant device. It comes in gold, like this one, in black or white or silver. It's a bit slippery, but less than Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, and the back is a bit of a grease and fingerprint magnet. One-hand usage is quite okay. As you can see, we have no problem reaching the apps area, moving around the home screens, and when need be, using the drop-down area. It has a solid build, as highlighted by this very solid metal frame. It's very elegant, and the edges do not cut your fingers anymore like it happened on the Galaxy Note 4. It had a very prominent metal edge to the screen. Okay, and I must say that from the side it looks a bit like a Galaxy S6. After all, it's a derived version of that, just like every Note with its flagship model that year. This time Samsung has opted for aluminum 7000 series, which is more resilient, and we have Gorilla Glass 4 protection at the front and at the back. The S Pen, the new stylus, now has a metallic finish and a clickable back that you can either use for its functionality and to pull it out of its own slot. Okay, so let's put it back like this, and it's time to analyze these sides of the device. So at front we have the usual sensors here, the earpiece, the front camera, there's also notification LED, we got the home button here with fingerprint sensor included, the back capacity button, and the recents button also included here. So I must also mention that the bezels are quite narrow and they don't cut the finger this time. Okay, so enough about the facade. It's time to go to the back. Here we have the slightly protruding camera, the flash, and the pulse sensor, and that's about it here. Then we go to the top, where you can find the SIM card slot and the microphone right here. Then at the bottom we find multiple things. First, the S Pen slot, audio jack, the micro USB port, and speaker, and a small microphone here. As some Apple fans noticed, these things are not aligned on a horizontal line like with Apple's obsession of doing perfect things. Okay, now let's get to the other sides. Here on the left side we got the volume buttons that are quite slim and still pretty comfy, and on the right side we got the on-off button that's also slim but also comfy. Okay, so after seeing that the buttons offer good feedback, it's time for the conclusion related to the design. We're dealing with a beautiful, elegant and solid smartphone that in my book is clearly above the Galaxy Note 4 and the iPhone 6 Plus as far as design is concerned. Now, as far as the hardware goes, we're getting a 5.7-inch screen, Super AMOLED, with a resolution of 2560 over 1600 pixels Quad HD and 518 ppi density. The processor here is very familiar, the octa-core Exynos 7420, 64-bit, 40 nanometers, same CPU from the Galaxy S6, S6 Edge Plus, S6 Edge, so very familiar. 4 cores are clocked at 2.1 GHz and 4 cores are clocked at 1.5 GHz. We are also getting 4 GB of LPDDR4 RAM and the storage options are 32 or 64 gigabytes. There is no microSD card slot here. The GPU is a Mali T760. At the front we have a 5 megapixel camera for the selfies, at the back 16 megapixel shooter, and on the connectivity side we're also getting LTE category 6 or category 9 depending on the country, NFC, Wi-Fi 802.11, ABGN and AC, and there's also MIMO, Bluetooth 4.2 LE, ANT Plus for the fitness functionality, USB 2.0, GPS and GLONASS. Other things worth mentioning here, well, the sensors, there's plenty of them. Accelerometer, proximity sensor, RGB, light, geomagnetic, gyroscope, fingerprint, barometer, Hall sensor, and finally heart rate sensor. We didn't forget about the battery life. So what we're dealing with here is a 3000 mAh unit, non removable, and with fast charge that should charge the device in about 2 hours. The Galaxy Note 4 had a bigger capacity battery, 3220 mAh, here only 3000. By the way, the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus also has a 3000 mAh battery. Okay, so let's see how the battery scored in our HD video playback test. This involves playing a video in a loop with Wi-Fi on and brightness of 50%, and we achieved 11 hours and 39 minutes, which is an excellent result. We beat the Galaxy Note 4 that offered 8 hours and 30 minutes. We also beat the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus that offered 11 hours and 9 minutes, and the Galaxy S5 that offered 11 hours. Still, we scored below the iPhone 6 Plus and its 12 hours, and also below the AllView P6 Energy with its 12 hours and 9 minutes. Still, this is an excellent score, especially since we beat quite a few flagships. Okay, we also did the other battery test, PC Mark. This one simulates continuous usage, and we reached 8 hours and 6 minutes, also great. We beat the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus that scored 7 hours and 52 minutes. We beat the Galaxy S6 and it's 7 hours and 6 minutes, and the Galaxy Note 4 and it's 6 hours and 15 minutes. We scored below the AllView P6 Energy and it's 11 hours and 24 minutes. The charging of the Galaxy Note 5 was done in 1 hour and 27 minutes, which is still better than the Galaxy Note 4 with its 1 hour and 40 minutes, and better than the LG G4 and its 1 hour and 43 minutes. By the way, our device also charged faster than the Galaxy S5 that needed 1 hour and 55 minutes to get juiced up. Still, we didn't charge faster than the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus that required 1 hour and 5 minutes, which is a record for our test, or the Galaxy S6 that scored 1 hour and 10 minutes in charging. OnePlus One is also better than this model because it charges in 1 hour and 15 minutes. Overall, a great battery, and it should also do wireless charging in 2 hours, as you learned from its official presentation. Obviously, there's power saving features here, so let's find them. This is the battery area, you can see the battery usage. Then there's the power saving mode that can be started up immediately or at certain percentages. What this mode does is that it limits the maximum performance, reduces screen brightness and frame rate, turns off the touch key light and vibration feedback, and reduces time before the screen is turned off. Then there is the ultra power saving mode that switches to a grayscale mode, only offers access to basic apps and restricts mobile data. So overall, an excellent battery usage. We also have here the abnormal battery usage in case there are some suspicious apps, and we move further to the acoustics. We got the speaker right here, and we also have the typical interface for a Samsung music player. It's exactly the same experience that we got on the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, and very similar to what we had on the Galaxy S6 and Galaxy S6 Edge. So we got Sound Alive, taking care of the equalizer options. We got normal, auto, pop, classic, jazz and custom, and then there are these two knobs with extra bass or extra treble depending on preferences, extra instrument or vocals, and then details with 7 custom channels if need be. Also 3D bass, clarity and concert hall, and some extras like adapt sound that finds the best sound for you and tweaks a pair of new headphones, and 3 options dedicated to headphone interaction. UHQ upscaler that enhances the sound resolution, Sound Alive Plus that recreates the effect of a rich surround sound, and Tube Amp Pro that simulates the soft timbre of a tube amplifier. Okay, so these are some of the options we're playing with. Any extras here? Nope. And we also have settings like play speed and smart volume that automatically adjusts all the tracks to a certain levels. The actual experience goes something like this. Okay, now some conclusions. The sound is quite loud, but not as loud as the Galaxy S6, Galaxy S6 Edge Plus or S6 Edge, at least in my view. Still, the sound is crisp, clear, we got good bass and good high notes, no distortion, but frankly speaking, for a flagship phablet, the sound could be a bit louder. Now let's see the headphones. If you saw the unboxing, you know what to expect. Exactly the same pair of buds that we got with the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, S6 and S6 Edge. So resembling the EarPods a bit, elongated body, quite long remote with 2 buttons, or 3 if you count the volume buttons, there's 2. So also flat wire, the kind that doesn't get tangled. This rubbery tip that makes it sit better in your ear. It connects like this. There's no FM radio in the mix, in case you're wondering. And the actual experience here is a comfy one with loud volume, clear sound, good bass and excellent noise cancelling. Okay, enough about the headphones. Nothing to be critical about. Still, those made by HTC for these devices are also quite good. And now let's see our usual test that involves a decibel meter. Okay, so here we go. While testing the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 with a decibel meter, we scored 84.9 decibels, so we scored below the Galaxy S6 Edge and it's 85.3 decibels, and also below the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and it's 85.5 decibel, and below the predecessor Galaxy Note 4 and it's 89.5 decibels. Still, there are some models that we beat. We beat the iPhone 6 Plus that scores 83.8 decibels, the LG G Flex 2 that scores 82.9 decibels. So overall the acoustics are okay, actually quite good, but not loud enough considering how much you pay for this phone and how good the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus was. Now I want to talk about the display. Of course you're seeing it here, it's very crisp, 5.7 inch Super AMOLED Quad HD, 518 ppi, and the Galaxy Note 4 actually had a similar diagonal and similar resolution, so you're probably wondering what has evolved. The video app remains minimalistic with the bare minimum options of sharing, searching and sorting by. We got the usual test sample here. Worry not, because that's how it's shown in landscape. Options, well, we got the aspect ratio, we got the famous pop-up play. You can enlarge or make the image smaller. Other options available here: editor, delete, share, play speed, subtitles and details, and of course you can pinch to zoom if you want a larger picture. So now let's analyze the actual screen experience. We got very vivid colors, a bright and crisp image, excellent contrast, also excellent sunlight behavior. There is a deep black, typical for a Super AMOLED, a high resolution and wide viewing angles, as you can see, and also realistic colors in spite of them being so vivid. Other things worth mentioning is that the sun doesn't exactly cause a problem here, no reflections and no problems with visibility. I cannot say that this is a huge evolution from the Galaxy Note 4 that was already an excellent device when it came to the screen, and the pixels here are of the pentile matrix kind. It's a pentile matrix setup. Of course we always measure the brightness by using a special lux meter. We did a few measurements, so we started off inside 504 lux, and then we went to the auto mode with a powerful LED lighting, and we achieved 626 lux, and which is the same test we did with the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. That one achieved 852 lux, so more than us, but in the full sunlight this model achieved 747 lux. It wasn't a very sunny day, so I'm sure it can do better than 747. So overall, the landmark for the Galaxy Note 5 is 747 lux. This means we beat the Galaxy Note 4 and it's 682 lux, and the iPhone 6 Plus and it's 605 lux. Sadly, we don't have the picture of that achievement, so 626 is also not bad. Keep in mind we beat the Galaxy Note 4, iPhone 6 Plus, but we scored below the Galaxy S6 Edge, and it's incredible, 933 lux, and also below the Microsoft Lumia 640 XL LT with its 769 lux, also below the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus with its Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, that's right, with its 852 lux units. So it's bright, very bright, but not the brightest. Of course, many rivals are from Samsung itself, so that's not exactly a problem. In the settings area, we got some options for the display. Here we go, we got brightness, auto, we got font options, one-handed operation, so you can reduce the screen size if you want to the size of a 4-inch screen, for example. And then we got smart stay, that has been available for a few generations now. And finally, screen mode. There's adaptive display that customizes color range, saturation and sharpness depending on the app you're using. Then we got AMOLED Cinema that oversaturates the image, photo a bit more realistic, and basic probably the most realistic one. Overall, not a very huge jump from the Galaxy Note 4 that had a very good screen, but still a very good screen. However, if you want to compare it to the Galaxy S6 Edge models, you'll be surprised to learn that those are a bit superior in the area of brightness. Okay, we're done with the screen, time to talk camera. So 16 megapixel shooter here, a Sony sensor from what I know. Also from what I know, the Sony IMX240, hope I'm not mistaken, with an f1.9 aperture lens, and is basically the same camera as the one of the Galaxy S6, S6 Edge and S6 Edge Plus. Up front there is a 5 megapixel shooter also with f1.9 aperture and with the capacity to take 120 degree selfies. Both cameras have VDIS, video digital image stabilization, and the main camera has smart optical image stabilization. There's auto real-time HDR, and launching the camera is as fast as doing this. Okay, so we're in selfie mode, and check this out now from the home screen. Extremely fast startup of the camera by double pressing the home button. Okay, and the camera UI, time to check it out. So let's use this castle here, double tap the home button. I love doing that, you probably notice it. If you saw our review of the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, this is basically a repeat. Many of the things remain unchanged, the interface is exactly the same, and it's also 90% the same from what you saw on the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. So we got the basic option, so you could be tapping the shutter button and taking pictures like this in the automatic mode. Then we got the effects, each of them with 2 extra settings for strength and vignette, and also with many more downloadable modes, and I do mean many more. Okay, let's put the effects aside. We got HDR with options like auto, on or off. We got a timer that can be set to 2 seconds, 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Flash options, auto, on or off. And resolution, 16 megapixels in 16:9, 12 megapixels in 4:3 or 8.9 megapixels in 1:1. And then comes the area of the settings. You can set up the video resolution. You can film in 4K, Quad HD, Full HD 60 frames per second, Full HD or lower resolutions. There's tracking autofocus, so you can focus on and track a subject. Video stabilization, grid lines, location tags, review pictures, quick launch by pressing this button, and save as RAW file, which will come handy later on. We got voice control and volume keys functionality as well. Okay, on the right side we got the gallery shortcut, video capture button, shutter button, front camera shortcut, and finally the capture modes. Auto speaks for itself, and then we got Pro, selective focus, which allows you to refocus after the shot, panorama, video collage, that creates a selection of 4 consecutive videos of about 6 seconds, splits the screen in 4 and plays the video at the same time. This is a novelty that appeared with this model. It's also live broadcast, allowing you to broadcast live straight to YouTube, slow motion and fast motion, virtual shot, spin around in 3D around the subject, and that's virtual shot, and a few more downloadable modes, most of which you're probably familiar with from previous devices. Okay, so those are the most to play with. Of course, the most interesting one is Pro, that brings an extra bunch of options like metering, that can be center weight, matrix or spot. It also brings the exposure and the shutter that can go from the 24,000 part of a second to 10 seconds. You can play with the shutter like that. And this was also available on the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Then we got ISO that goes only up to 800, white balance that also has a special slider for the kelvins, for the temperature. And then we got the focus going from macro to landscape, provided that our finger doesn't slip. So that's it, okay. And then there is an interesting bit of option here. It's called tone. It's basically another series of sub settings that totally change the conditions of the capture. You can actually customize it and create your own tone. You can tweak color, temperature, tint, you can tweak contrast, saturation, highlight and shadows, and then save your profile. Then load it up like this and save and keep the exact shutter as you like it, focus and all that, or stay with the standard option. Now we turn to the front camera, if you feel ready for a selfie, and let's see the options available here. We also have just taken a selfie by mistake. We got effects, HDR. We also have an option called beauty, which includes shape correction for the face, a slimmer face, yet another selfie. Okay, so shape correction, slim face, large eyes and skin tone. Then we got the options. You can film in quad HD with the front camera. There's also gesture control, which I'm going to deactivate, video stabilization, grid lines, location tags, voice control, and that's about it. Plus the modes like white selfie, video collage, live broadcast, virtual shot or interval shot that takes a series of shots with a distance of a few seconds in between them. Okay, so that's about it as far as the options are concerned. I have to say that this camera is able to focus very fast, and once you're tapping the screen you can also see this brightness slider right here. Once again, very fast focus and very fluid zoom going up to 8x and without losing too much detail, which is also pretty impressive. If you keep the screen pressed, you'll trigger the autofocus or the exposure lock. And another advantage of the camera is obviously very fast picture taking. With excellent quality while also being very fast, as you can see right here, impressive amount of details for this shuttle. Okay, we're done with this. Putting the castle aside, we always have a passion for taking a lot of pics, and today's number is 170 shots. That usually happens when testing a high-end phone. So let's take them one by one. Those shots were taken at the end of August on very hot days. We have a ton of them, and I think you should remember here we got the same performance from this camera as the one of the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, which is great. In spite of meeting a lot of sun in front of us on a very hot August day, there are no burnt shots, so keep that in mind. Even with HDR on, we didn't register burnt shots using this camera. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Some samples of flowers. This is where you can see the HDR in action. It makes the frame a bit whiter but not exaggerated. We got some excellent close-ups with an excellent level of detail from these flowers. You'll see one later on with bees, very impressive. Colors are realistic. The blues are particularly excellent when using this camera. Details look great both up close and in landscape shots. And in spite of taking so many pictures, 170 of them, not a single shot was blurry or out of focus or covered with a whitish hue. Impressive texture here in this moss or whatever this biological formation is. Very impressive texture, I have to say. Perfect exposure, white balance and focus, colors and contrast. Excellent framing here. Flower macros look simply perfect, and even with the sun in front of us, the camera took some impressive results. Okay, so as I said, flower macros, very impressive. I would even go as far as saying that they're on a DSLR level, but that's high praise. Okay, now some of the best shots we've taken involve a flower, and not just a flower, but also a bee. So check this out. Bee here, again the bee eating and picking up pollen. and be leaving. So very impressive series of shots of high quality. The B again, leaving the scene of the crime. Okay, even more shots of a flower. Excellent metal texture here and color, and the background is slightly out of focus, however it still remains with a good quality. Playing with the exposure here, and in these landscape shots, even if I keep zooming in, the quality remains quite impressive. And as far as the selfies are concerned, this is a selfie taken by my colleague, and we got good skin texture and also pretty good background quality and color, and a few more shots. Okay, so nice texture and color here as well, and this is where I played with the zoom in, and the quality remained impressive in spite of zooming in 3 or 4 times. A gull, some more shots even with the sun in front of us, and still no problem here whatsoever. I would have to say that the quality of the selfie is above the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and the LG G4 that were a bit of a disappointment, at least for me. We're also taking a panorama. Some more shots here. If you find them to be too many, you can enjoy them in our full gallery. And here you can view a nifty burst shot of a car racing around the track. Okay, and I promised before some panorama action. Let's try and find the panorama. Would be useful if you actually had an option to find it instead of just looking for it. Some more impressive shots. Okay, still searching for that panorama, haven't found it. Here we go, finally, at last, this is it. The resolution is 19168 over 3120. It's also fast when taking it, very detailed, and once again very intuitive to take. As you can see, we have played in a lot of landscapes, in a park. I've also tested the camera indoors, in low light, and not once have we caught it off-site. No matter what shot you try to zoom in, you'll find the details to be simply stunning, and the texture doesn't lose a heartbeat. Those chestnut thingies we had here are actually wallpaper-like quality, if you ask me. Okay, indoor shots like this one here also look very crisp in artificial light. And I went back to last year and I looked up the Galaxy Note 4 pictures, and I have to say that the Galaxy Note 5 has more realistic colors, and those from the Galaxy Note 4 look like they were drawn with watercolors if you compare them to this one. So keep that in mind. Galaxy Note 4 pics look like watercolor compared to the Galaxy Note 5. We move on to the low light capture, taking at night. It was about 1 AM, and this time the flash burns less than the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus that I complained about when it came to the flash. We got clear pictures, excellent colors, and even from a distance things tend to look good. As you can see here, the flash doesn't burn as bad as the one of the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. The light halos are a bit bigger than the ones of the Galaxy Note 4 if you go back to that review and compare them to this one. However, the nighttime frames are less yellow than the ones taken with the Galaxy Note 4, and the shutter is something I've been able to play with here. So as you can see, a regular shot, nothing playing with the shutter, flash shot, and here I took the shutter to about let's say 1 second, and already the sky got clearer and everything looked better. So that shutter speed option makes everything looks crisp. However, you may need a tripod or very steady hands to actually get a nice shot. Some more frames during the night, regular shot, a bit yellowish, but we turn on the flash and things start to look better. If you feel that some of the pics are moved, you may need a tripod, as seen here. I have played with the shutter to the extent of my knowledge, and this is what came out. Overall, an improvement over the Galaxy Note 4, that's what you have to remember. Okay, so I have to say that drawing a line for all of the pictures, this camera is great and it's on par with the Galaxy S6, S6 Edge, and it's still a bit, but only a bit, below the fantastic camera of the LG G4 when it comes to the nighttime capture. Especially during the daytime, it's basically the best camera out there, on par with the LG G4 and beating the Note 4 by about 10%. So keep that in mind. This model, the Galaxy Note 5, is on par with the LG G4, but below it at night only by a bit. Now the video capture, as far as the video is concerned, let's see what we're dealing with here. I'm going to go to the video app, not to get things messed up. And let's analyze the video samples one by one. Okay, so you can film in 4K with 48 megapixel bitrate, Full HD at 60 frames per second with 27 megapixel bitrate, or Full HD in 30 frames per second, and finally slow-mo and fast-mo. You already saw the bulk of these captures with the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. I wasn't going to repeat all of those captures, just focus on Full HD this time. So video number 1. This is Full HD, 30 frames per second, 17 megapixel bitrate, 30 frames per second and 17 megapixel. Great acoustics, realistic colors, crisp and clear image, good focus and stabilization, even with a moving object in the frame. The video number 2, it's also Full HD, has an excellent quality, and even when zooming in, the quality remains quite good. Also good stabilization and nice colors, very realistic, and no problem with the focus. The third video is Full HD as well, crisp, clear, and while some other phones could have faced exposure problems, this one didn't, and also kept realistic colors. Okay, and next up we got a video that's semi-indoors. There's a lot of movement here and a very bright red. Still, the camera doesn't have one problem. It's clear, crisp, there is no focus loss, good white balance and colors. And then there is the next video with quite a bit of noise. The microphone can handle loud sounds without a problem, and when moving from a bright area to a lower brightness, there is no exposure problem. Other phones, once again like the LG G4, could have had problems with that exposure change. And finally, we got a test of the optical image stabilization. No jittery image, no jerking frames, excellent optical image stabilization. Time for the low light capture, so let's take them one by one. Video number 1, Full HD. Oh no, this is the 4K one, my bad. So let's go again. This is the Full HD one, 30 frames per second, fuzzy and grainy a bit, but still the colors are quite good for the nighttime and no problems with the focus. Okay, second video, Full HD 60 frames per second, crisper, cleaner and a bit more cinematic. And the light halos are a bit bigger than the ones of the Galaxy Note 4 if you really want a comparison. The last low light video, it's the 4K one, obviously looking great. This is 1 AM at night, once again. Almost daylight quality, almost. Some focus loss at the start and at the end of the video, other than that it's basically perfect for nighttime capture. Okay, now it's time to draw the line entirely for the camera. I have to say that the performance is the same as the one of the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge and S6 Edge Plus. Is the same camera in the end, and we beat the LG G4 when it comes to video capture, and the colors look more realistic than the Galaxy Note 4. Now as far as the editing goes, the options are pretty straightforward here. So you're going to have to tap this button, edit, and play with options like auto adjust, rotate, crop, write, so you can write with the S Pen. We got photo editor, animate and collage, and photo editor itself brings extra options like adjustment, tone, with several sub options like hue, saturation or contrast. And then there's also effects, quite a few of them and more downloadable, and again you can draw on top of the image if you want to. Aside from that, you can also do a bit of video editing. So you will select a clip, press editor, and then you can trim it, add effects, audio, and download a full-fledged video editor. By the way, if you're going to the events area, you will be able to create special events from your albums, sort of like the HTC Zoe, a summary of your photos and videos, one that shows all of your clips and photos in a short video with a soundtrack that you can change, and also the images are editable. Now let's go to the performance and talk about the temperature first. We reached a temperature of 36.3 degrees Celsius after playing the game Riptide GP2 for 15 minutes, so there is no overheating here. Now, as far as the web browser goes, I'm going to use the standard one, not Chrome, to access gsmdome.com. Okay, not exactly the fastest in the world, but the website was loaded completely. Thanks to the huge resolution, you can read the text without zooming in, very fluid zoom, very fluid scrolling around, and the QWERTY keyboard is quite comfy, the virtual QWERTY keyboard. It also has a numeric row and special options related to handwritten input, the clipboard, and other useful things there. Okay, off to the phone section, where we find the material design influence dialer, a special video call button, and features like speed dial. Also have smart dial, call blocking, answering and ending calls. Now, as far as the actual calls are concerned, we got great signal and great volume and excellent noise cancelling. Now it's time for the benchmarks, and I have quite a few models to compare this device with. So first things first, let's see the models that are being compared here. So I compared the Galaxy Note 5 to the Galaxy Note 4, Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, HTC One M9, LG G4 and iPhone 6 Plus. It's a battle of the Exynos 7420 with the Exynos 5433, Exynos 7420 again, Snapdragon 810, Snapdragon 808 and Apple A8. In quadrant, we scored 34,212. We beat the Galaxy Note 4 that had 26,000. We also beat the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus that had 31,000, and the HTC One M9 with its 28,393. Finally, we also beat the LG G4 and its 17,697 points. In Antutu, we had a score of 66,491 points, beating the Note 4 by about 16,000 points. We got beaten by the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus by about 3,000 points, and we beat the HTC One M9 and its 52,000 points. Meanwhile, we beat the LG G4 with its 48,000 points, and also the iPhone 6 Plus with 48,000 points as well. In Nanomark, which I should be able to find here somewhere. Okay, let's look it up. Here we go, 59.9 frames per second, beating the Galaxy Note 4 and its 59.7 frames per second, but we scored below the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and its 60.2 frames per second, while also scoring on par with the HTC One M9 and its 59.9 frames per second. Finally, LG G4 had 60.1 frames per second. The Velamo test was quite impressive, as you'll be able to see in a minute now. In Chrome we scored 48.38, but in the initial test we scored a more impressive 57.28 in the standard internet browser, a huge score for the Velamo HTML5 test. Meanwhile, the Note 4 had 44.31, Galaxy S6 Edge Plus 45.29 and HTC One M9 29.71. The LG G4 had 36.52 points. We move over to 3D Mark, where we have a very good score of 23,793. Note 4 has 12,812. Galaxy S6 Edge Plus 24,446 and HTC One M9 21,000. LG G4 18,228 and iPhone 6 Plus 17,925. GFX is up next, reaching a score of 45 frames per second in the 1080p T-Rex off-screen test, and meanwhile the Note 4 had only 21 frames per second, so we totally beat it. Galaxy S6 Edge Plus has more, 57 frames per second, and the HTC One M9 has only 26, while the LG G4 has 32 and the iPhone 6 Plus 44.8 frames per second. Geekbench 3 is here with a score of 1466 in the single core test and 4624 in the multi-core test. Galaxy Note 4 had 884 over 3405. Galaxy S6 Edge Plus 1438 over 5117, and HTC One M9 had 1007 over 3843. The LG G4 scored 1138 over 2996, and the iPhone 6 Plus had 1629 over 2922. The speed test was a bit of a surprise for me, actually a bit of a record breaker. We scored a huge 30 megapixel in download and 26 in upload, a bit of a record as I said. The Note 4 had 20 and 22, Galaxy S6 Edge Plus 24 and 24, and HTC One M9 29 and 27. The LG G4 scored 22 and 22, and the iPhone 6 Plus 24 and 20. The browser tests were not ignored, and in browser mark we had the score of 2036, the Note 4 had 2590, and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus had 1989. HTC One M9 scored 1658, and the LG G4 2093. Sam Spider, the lower the better, not quite low, 708 ms, the Note 4 had 875, Galaxy S6 Edge Plus 730, and the HTC One M9 1174. LG G4 was better with 517, and the iPhone 6 Plus is the champion with 363. Finally, the last test, Base Mark X, in the medium quality test, 13,991, while the Note 4 doesn't exactly have as a result here, and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus 36,210, HTC One M9 17,000, and the LG G4 25,000. So overall, these are 11 tests that we use to compare the models. 3 out of 11 makes this model the winner, and it's all because of the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. If we eliminate that, it wins 7 out of the 11 tests. And also compared to the Note 4, it wins 10 out of 11 tests. It's a clear evolution from its predecessor, and obviously the device does not suffer from any sort of lag. You can open up how many apps and games you want. It has 4 GB of RAM and a strong CPU, and there's no lag whatsoever. Plus games with 3D graphics like Riptide GP2 run like a charm and lag free. You can turn the graphics all the way to the max level and enjoy the beautiful lighting effects, dynamic shadows, sparkling, nice water ripples, and a very nice speed sensation. Responsive controls, and overall a very nice gaming experience on this phablet. Also good news that it doesn't get hot, as I said before. And now off to the OS and UI. Now as far as the software is concerned, we're running Android 5.1.1 Lollipop with the latest TouchWiz on top. I will not insist on it too much because if you saw our review of the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, it's exactly the same experience. It's also very similar to what we had on the Galaxy S6 and Galaxy S6 Edge. It's a minimal and flat UI with material design influences and very generic icons that are still quite colorful. Okay, so multitasking is done via the usual carousel that also has a layer of multitasking in it, so you can trigger the S planner like that and then select, for example, Chrome, and you have your split screen right here. You can work with the S planner and then work with your web browser and even transfer content between them like text or photos, switch the windows, and you can also activate split screen like this. Tap on one thing, tap on the other, and then there's split screen, and you can work at the same time using the windows. You already know it from previous Samsung devices. Other than that, well, we get Flipboard as the leftmost home screen. It's totally optional, you can exclude it, and you can read the articles, share them, or whatever you want. Flipboard has been here for quite a few generations of Samsung devices. If you keep the home screen pressed, you'll see wallpapers with motion effect, with or without, widgets, most of them typical to Samsung, and some of them related to the pre-installed apps coming from Microsoft, for example. We also have themes, including a theme store. Some very nice looking ones here, very artistic. Okay, and then we've got screen grid with 3 layouts, 4:4, 4:5, and 5:5. Okay, now it's time to analyze the drop down area where you can find the usual quick settings. brightness slider, S Finder, quick connect, and obviously the notifications. From here we jump straight to the settings area where you can find your favorites at the top. Of course, that's an editable list. And then we skip to the more interesting options like the ones related to the S Pen. Okay, so finally we have arrived in the S Pen area, and we have here Air Command that, as you can see, has a new interface. Basically you hover your S Pen over any area of the screen and press the pen button to access those features. And you also have customizable shortcuts this time, as you can see right here. There's something called floating icon, so this whole palette can turn into a small icon that floats on the screen. And then there is the detach S Pen to turn on option. So let's actually see what I mentioned earlier. So detach to activate that Air Command, a brand new user interface for it compared to the Galaxy Note 4, and customizable shortcuts for all of your apps that can be added to the same palette. And you got this little floating thingy that can be moved all over the screen and placed wherever you need it. The shortcuts and the options can be accessed from here as well, as you can see. Okay, so we put this back in because we have some more settings and options related to it to show to you. So S Pen, we got something called Air View here. I'm sure you're familiar with it. I'm guessing that it's been 2 or 3 generations of S Pen and Note devices that have used this feature. So it's all about hovering above content, like going to the gallery and seeing previews of pics like this, and also getting options like write on image, edit, share or delete. And you can also do that with the calendar and several other apps, as far as I know. If there was a birthday here, I would be able to see it. So let's try maybe another month. Okay, as you can see, let's go again. So floating, hovering and showing me the birthday. That was the hover part of the experience. Once again, back to the settings because we have quite a few of them. So that was Air View, that also can be used when playing videos to view a preview. Then we got direct pen input, so if there's something to be written on the screen in a certain text bar, you can activate handwriting with the pen, which is what I'm going to do yet again. So for example, you go to the internet browser, there's stuff to write here, and you can press this icon that appears in order to start writing and adding text of your own. So if I'm writing hello, that will be included in this huge address list and everybody's going to be happy. Back to the settings yet again. We got you already saw direct pen input, pointer. Well, this little thing that you can see on the screen is the pointer. You can set it on or off. Screen off memo is a new feature and it goes something like this. You're a very busy person, you don't have time to actually activate the device, so you take the pen out and write stuff straight on the lock screen. It should be working, hopefully. Let's try it again. Okay, so now it's working. Buy milk, or write a phone number or an appointment on the lock screen. So a new feature, it was not present on the previous Galaxy Note, but it's present here. That is the screen off memo. You can send it to your notes, you can save it and edit it. We also have S Pen alerts. So for example, if you're walking around with your phone and the S Pen is far away, you receive an alert, a pop-up. There's also S Pen power saver to save juice by turning off detection of the S Pen when it's attached, and then S Pen sound and S Pen vibration. Okay, enough about the options, time to get to the actual stylus experience. Once you detach it, you'll be pressing this little back area that's clickable now, and this click is not used for commands, it's only used to detach it from the device. As I said, once you detach it, you'll see the Air Command, and Air Command includes a series of options here. We got Action Memo, Smart Select, Screen Write, and S Note available right here. The UI is totally new from what we had on the Galaxy Note 4. It was a small white semicircle there, and it's a side semicircle with everything blurred in the background. Okay, so Action Memo is basically a post-it. You can write stuff down like let's say a phone number, Okay, and then you press the button. You can see we got a button here like this, and then you will be able to turn this into a phone number, contact, message, email, or internet. So you press phone and you can complete the action using the phone or Skype, for example. You return to your note, and the same goes if you write an email address, web address, and things like that. So if you start writing an email address, for example, a@mail.com, horrible handwriting, apologizing for that. Okay, and then you see email or internet, you can look stuff up, you can compose stuff, and that's the whole action memo in a nutshell. You can delete, save, or do whatever you want with your cute little note. Okay, so that's action memo, and then we got smart select. That is very simple to use. You simply cut portions of the screen and write on them, then save them to the scrapbook. You can choose rectangle, lasso, oval, or auto shape. So with rectangle, it's pretty straightforward. And cutting this, I can write on it, share it, save in my scrapbook, or save in my gallery. I can cut a piece of a map and write on it to show my friends where they have to go. And that's about it. Then, moving further, we got screen write. It's a similar feature. This one takes a screenshot of your whole screen and allows you to write on it using a pen. And set pen comes with varied options, various tips, colors, sizes, and all that. There's the eraser, there's scrapbook, and saving gallery yet again. Okay, and then the fourth option is S Note, which is probably the most complex of them all. However, compared to the Galaxy Note 3 and Note 4, it's much simpler, more intuitive, and very straightforward. So you can choose to create a new document, and you'll see nothing but the pen options. You got pen settings here, including the thickness, the color, and the type of tip. If you're into calligraphy or things like that, that should matter to you. You can doodle, you can create a character, or you can write stuff. There's also the text option, so you can start writing text with special text options like fonts, thickness, italic, and all sorts of bullets, and font size. So text is also available, as I said before. And then let's see what we got here. You can put some of these tips handy, so you can easily switch between them and go from one thickness to the other and one color to the other. We also have insert here. You can insert an image, take a picture, do a photo note, add a voice recording, an illustration like these clip arts or shapes, and also insert a piece of something from the clipboard, which is quite big, as you can see here. Or you can also insert something from the scrapbook, provided you have saved something to it. Other options here, there's selection mode, add page, so you can use a multi-page notebook, and manage pages, and background settings. You can use these templates like note, grid, to do, diary, schedule, meeting note, and picture diary. You can change the color or the title if I'm not mistaken. And finally, you can add tags to a document so you can find it easier later on. Okay, so that's what the S Note has become. It has much less features than before. Back in the days on the Galaxy Note 2, if I remember well, you had the mathematical formulas and all sorts of way to do calculus. You can draw geometric shapes. Now you can post a list, or you can doodle something. However, it's much simpler than before. It has much less features than before. Okay, now let's talk about the S Pen itself. This accessory is now a bit more slippery. It has a metallic finish, it feels very light, looks a bit more premium. The clickable end is only used to remove it, doesn't have a feature. We got a button here that you'll see later on what it's used for. It's comfy, it has excellent accuracy, it really feels like a pen on paper experience, and you can use it to mark PDFs among others. And as I said before, if you feel like you're a doodler, or you want to take or create a caricature, you can easily do that. You can start drawing instantly. Just notice how precise and accurate it is. Instant response to what I'm doing on the screen. If you're really good at drawing, you'll see this as a heavenly tool to take advantage of your talent. Okay, so let's say you're hovering above the text. You can select it like this, and the same goes for a series of pictures. This feature was also available on the predecessor, so I thought I should remind you about it. Multiple selection by keeping the button pressed. Other than that, if you hover over a pic, you'll see some extra options, like okay, not hovering too close, like write on image, edit, share or delete. Hover on a video, you see its preview, and that's that. Once again, compared to the Galaxy Note 4, the drawing and writing is smoother, there is reduced friction, and there's an improvement over the Note 4, but not a huge one, so let's temper ourselves. It's an evolution, but not a dramatic one. Basically, the software experience stays the same, only the UI has changed. Those apps were also present on the predecessor, but again, they have a new user interface. Frankly speaking, every year from the Galaxy Note 2 onwards, we lost features from the S Note instead of gaining them. Okay, back to the settings, that's where we started. And here we have motions and gestures like direct call, smart alert, mute or palm swipe to capture, which we already knew for the past handset generations. Other than that, there's also wallpaper, themes, lock screen and security with a very fast responding fingerprint authentication. Maybe it's this one. Okay, apparently it is this one. And let's see how fast we can unlock the device. As fast as this, I just pressed it by mistake, so let's not press it. As you can see, it's very fast, just like the one on the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Now let's deactivate it. Incredibly fast, so no problem here. Also a very long password to secure it, unlike Apple's requirement for a password. The rest is device security, Find My Mobile, privacy and safety with location private mode. So if you want to keep your files hidden, that's good. We got an easy mode here. There's also accessibility, accounts, and there is also Knox if you want to use that for an extra layer of safety on your device. Okay, so we're at that part of the review where we analyze the pre-installed apps. The good news is that we don't have much bloatware. You can uninstall pretty much all the apps. You also get a bonus of 100 gigabytes in OneDrive. And let's start with all of the apps. We got phone, contacts, messages, internet, email, gallery, camera, music, video, settings, basic ones, the calculator with its minimal design, and S Planner, which is basically your standard calendar app on steroids, and with more details and a very material design interface. Smart Manager takes care of cleaning up your battery, storage, RAM and device security. You can clean all of them, and here you can also install Knox and make your device even more secure. We got a folder for tools like Scrapbook, My Files, Voice Recorder and Samsung Gear. S Health is still here, exactly the same experience as the one on the Galaxy S6, S6 Edge and S6 Edge Plus. You can measure your heart rate, oxygen saturation, stress level, and keep tabs on your various fitness items like steps, running, cycling, water intake, caffeine intake, weight, sleep, heart rate, blood glucose and blood pressure, with the later two requiring separate accessories. Okay, so I have to say that the heart rate sensor is quite precise, the pedometer is also pretty precise, but the stress meter fluctuates quite a bit. Okay, and the interface has become more minimalistic compared to last year, for example. S Voice has evolved a lot, as you saw in the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus review. What's the weather like?
Here is the weather for Dobrosti, Ilfov. There isn't a cloud in the sky today.
Okay, so it's now faster, a bit less robotic, and very unintrusive by being shown that band at the bottom. Galaxy Apps is your go-to store if you want apps tailored for your S Pen needs. The only good thing about this store is that it offers you stuff that you cannot find in the Play Store, and I mean stuff related to your S Pen. SetSync is your application that allows you to mirror content from this screen to another device. Then we got S Note that you already saw, simpler than ever. Chrome, Maps is also here, working flawlessly as one may assume. Then we got YouTube, we got Play Store, got a Google folder with Google Voice Search, Gmail, Drive, Play Music, Hangouts, Photos, and then there is a folder tailored for the Microsoft apps. Pre-installed Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, OneDrive and Skype as part of a partnership between Samsung and Microsoft. And in case you're wondering, let's see how we can get the productivity going with a pen and Word. Okay, so Word is here. We can open up a new document, create a newsletter, zoom into the image and start editing your text in chunks or edit your photos. I didn't find the experience to be as intuitive as I expected. Sometimes I felt the need to use my finger rather than the pen, so Office is not exactly tailored for pen use. Okay, you can rearrange the headings, change the styling of the fonts, and share your work with other people provided you're connected into your account. Once again, we also have here Excel and PowerPoint in their mobile versions, bundled with the device and available for free. There's Facebook, Instagram and Messenger also bundled. Finally, Samsung Galaxy Life, that doesn't work in my country, and Minox if you really want to beef up security on your device. Okay, so this is everything that the device holds. This is the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. This is gsndom.com and it's the end of the review. Let's list the pros and cons of this phone. On the pro side, obviously a beautiful device that has gently curved back edges, as you can see. So powerful, beautiful, elegant, excellent battery, a great camera, bright screen, more realistic colors for the picture taking than the Galaxy Note 4. The low light quality is above the Note 4, no bloatware. The S Pen is comfy and accurate and fast. The UI is fluid and more mature now. This TouchWiz, I mean. There are no compromises here, and this is a fast and accurate device when it comes to the fingerprint scanner and to the pulse scanner. Those are the pros, as you probably figured out already. On the cons side, well, on the cons we got the not so wide availability of the phone. As you know, it's only available in some countries in the world. And then I have to say that the S Pen apps have not evolved very much from the Galaxy Note 4. A change of UI doesn't mean evolution necessarily. The fact that we have this clickable end, it's only for design, not for features. Some people may want features associated to an extra button, some. Okay, other than that, the speaker could have been a bit louder, only a bit, and the back is a fingerprint magnet. Also, the low light capture of the back camera is a bit below the LG G4 if you really want a rival for it. And finally, there is no 128GB version of this phone, and considering the lack of a micro SD card slot, that may be a problem for people who tend to film in 4K a lot, for example. I find this device to be useful for doodles and for businessmen, so if you're the kind who draws a lot, makes sketches, shares them, creates memes, it's good for you. If you're a businessman, it's good for you again. It's more pragmatic than the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and less slippery. And now it's time for the grades. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9.5 out of 10 for design. Also a 9.5 out of 10 for the hardware. And for the operating system and user interface, it will be a 9.4 out of 10 because S Note keeps losing features from the Galaxy Note 2 onwards. The final grade is 9.46 out of 10 for the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. The thing to remember here is that there is no big new feature since the Galaxy Note 4. However, the design looks much better now. We got a much better battery. The camera has also improved, and the S Pen is a bit more comfy, but a huge innovation from the Note 4, not quite, unless you consider the design a huge innovation. Other than that, 9.46 out of 10 from gsndom.com. Bye bye!